Hi there, Dr. Brian and Sugar, and today we're talking about overstimulation, why a dog runs around too much, but what overstimulation means. So we're going to cover 3 topics about what overstimulation means, where it comes from, and how you would benefit from less of it. Okay, speak to you in a second. I'll cut that bit out. Okay, Dr. Brian here. Sugar and I have been wondering about how much stimulation is too much and where it comes from. What's the impact of overstimulation of the brain? Now, there is a point at which the brain needs to be stimulated. There's a point at which the brain needs stimulation for health, use it or lose it at a mental level, but also there's a level at which too much overstimulation will create let's just say less threshold and adaptability in the brain. It's very important. We note that when the joints are out of position and they're sending proprioceptive messages to your brain about how they are over irritated, it hits your midbrain and actually it spills over with this continuous overload of joint information. So a painful joint, we're doing it all the time, but a joint that's not so much painful all the time but actually not sitting correctly in position will be firing additional proprioceptive impulses to your brain and giving you a lot of junk information. Now that means that when you try and relax, it's very hard because the brain is humming with this increased traffic. An example might be trying to listen to someone talk in a noisy room, and you really can't filter out the external noise from the focus of that individual. So the brain has more difficulty focusing and settling when it has this bombarding of increased information and overstimulation. Now we know that the brain and the gut are in a constant conversation, so we're talking more recently in medical circles about the role of the gut as a second brain. Now that's been a concept inside natural medicine for many years. So it's not a totally new idea, but it's in a broader arena. So you're more likely to have heard of it by listening to TV programs and reading magazine articles, and even your doctor may talk about the role of the gut in health. Now it's your interface between the inside and the outside, something they said at university that I found initially difficult to swallow, was the fact that it's not inside your body, inside your mouth, it's not inside your body till it passes through the gut wall. So that means it's gone into your stomach and gone down into the small intestine when the majority of the absorption of the nutrients takes place. So that blood-gut barrier is super important, and there are all these very clever gateways that allow different molecules to get from the gut into the bloodstream, so it can be transported via the blood predominantly off to tissue where it's needed. What does that mean? So we're sort of slightly off topic, but the role of the gut and gut irritation and overstimulation. So there's this constant conversation between your gut and the brain about where is lunch. So you eat some food and it processes over a few hours, and your brain needs to know, do I need more hydrochloric acid? Do I need a bit more pepsin from the pancreas? What do I need to keep that food processing? And that feedback loop is constant, so your body will do a bit more digestive salts from the gallbladder and liver, or will it do more hydrochloric acid at the stomach, or will it add more pancreatic salts and enzymes to help break food down? And that is a real-time process, and when the food moves through the process, those need to shut off. So this concept is under constant monitoring, and therefore the gut is very connected to the brain, as the brain is the, if you like, the actioner from the information up, goes into the brain processes it and sends messages back down to various organs to help you break food down to get the goodness out of it. If you eat rubbish food, you won't get as much goodness. Overstimulation. So healthy gut, healthy digestion, good pantry. you can't create good tissue, good you and good energy from food that your body can't derive the best ingredients from. You can't be more than the quality of food that you're eating. And that is something I'm not sure we all totally properly understand, this idea that you are the sum of the food you eat. And the food you eat either becomes energy, so you can run, play and think, or it becomes new you. So we're turning over tissue all the time. And we talked earlier about the concept that the brown in the stool is used and disposed of spent red blood cells. So the body's making new ones all the time. What's it making them from? Is it making them from scrap or from high quality ingredients? So the best of food is, I think, disproportionately important to how we perceive it as being important. The remarkable thing about the body is it will survive, maybe not thrive, but it'll survive on a poor diet for a period of time. But over time, a poor diet will lead to disease. And now you're consulting someone else about tissue change and tissue ill health that's actually the product of what you ate a few years ago in terms of habits. So the money spent for good quality food, low pesticides or no pesticides, I can't emphasize the benefit you receive in terms of health. James Chestnut, he's an educator, he's a chiropractor, he's a researcher. He talks about the dilemma between the donut and the apple. So when you eat the donut, you don't drop dead immediately. You just add another nail to the coffin. You choose the apple, you don't immediately recover from all your illnesses. However, you often feel better 20 minutes after the apple than you do 20 minutes after the donut. So that feedback loop is there to help you judge. So if you eat food and a short time later you're clearing your throat with phlegm, you're feeling like you want to fall asleep, you're feeling tired, that's a clear indication that food is not good for you. Could be a good food, doesn't have to be twisties and Coke. It could be a perfectly good food that your body doesn't love. And that's where you begin to tune your pantry to you, not to somebody's advice online, though I'm online and I'm advising you, but what my key element or information is make it all about you. And you'll have worked out often as we get older the foods you don't eat anymore because you've worked out you don't love them so much, or your body doesn't love them. So overstimulation, I'm going to put some resources underneath this in the links that you can look at that actually give you further information to read up on the role of overstimulation in nervous system dysfunction and often in mood and brain problems. So this is a really powerful tool that you can grapple with, that often small changes can give you disproportionate results. So our role here is to help you be super healthy. The healthy stay well, but the super healthy always thrive. So be one of those people, be super healthy and be your best self. All the best.